So in this lesson, I'm going to show you how to solve quadratic equations by using the quadratic formula. Okay, so let's take a look at this one here. You're given negative 2x squared plus 3x is 4x minus 15. So this time we are going to use the quadratic formula to solve it. And we have a 3-step procedure of how to do that. So let's go ahead and take a look at step 1. Okay, so step 1 is to write the equation in standard form. So standard form is ax squared plus bx plus c equals to 0. Okay, so you move all the terms to one side of the equal sign, and then the other side of the equal sign has to be 0. All right, so according to this, we would like to get rid of the 4x. Okay, and then you're going to end up with negative 4x on this side. And then get rid of the negative 15, and we're going to have positive 15 on this side. So negative 2x squared plus 3x. Okay, so when you get rid of this 4x, you minus 4x. So you have negative 4x on the left-hand side. And then when you get rid of this minus 15, you add 15 to make it come out to 0. So you get positive 15 on this side. Okay, so then the other side becomes 0. All right, so basically you minus 4x and then you add 15, and that's how we got this. Negative 4x plus 15. Okay, so here you have negative 2x squared plus 3x minus 4x plus 15. We need to collect these two terms because they are like terms. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and combine those two. Here's what we have after we combine the 3x and the negative 4x. Stay the same, and then you got negative x, which is negative 1x, right? 3 minus 4, and then bring down the 15, and then equals to 0. Okay, so that's how you get the equation into standard form. You got your ax squared plus bx plus c equals to 0. So that is step number 1. That's the first thing you need to do. So here you have to identify the a, the b, and the c. And then you're going to substitute those into the formula. So here you're given a quadratic formula. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and identify a, b, c. And that's pretty easy. I mean, you can tell by looking over here. So the a is the coefficient of x squared, right? So a is negative 2. So there's your a. And your b is the coefficient of x. B is going to be negative 1. And then your c is your constant, and that's 15. So again, identify a, b, c. And then we're going to plug those in to the quadratic formula. So we have x is, here you got minus b, that means opposite of b. So opposite of negative 1 is 1. And then you have the plus or minus. And then you have negative 1 squared, because it's b squared. Take away 4 times a. A is negative 2, and then times c, and then c is 15. Okay, so, and then that whole thing all over 2 times a, so that's going to be 2 times negative 2. As you can see, everything is plugged in, the a, the b, and the c. All right, so that is step 2. Okay, step 3, let's go ahead and take a look what we have to do for step 3. And step 3 is to simplify. Simplify the expression that is on the right-hand side of the equal sign. So we have 1 plus or minus square root of. Now negative 1 squared is 1, because it's negative 1 times negative 1. And then you got to multiply the negative 4. So negative 4 times negative 2 is positive 8. and then positive 8 times 15. So that's going to be 15 times 8. Okay, 0, 4, and then that's 120. So 15 times 8 is going to give you 120, so plus 120. And that whole thing is over negative 4 because you got 2 times negative 2. So continue with this. We have x is 1 plus or minus square root of 1 plus 120 is 121 all over negative 4. X is, so 1 plus or minus, well, square root of 121 is 11. So you have 11 all over negative 4. We're going to continue to break this up because of the plus minus, right? You got the positive 11 and you have that negative 11. So x is, well, 1 plus 11 is 12. And then 12 over negative 4 is negative 3. So one of your solutions is negative 3. The other one, x is 1 minus 11 is negative 10 all over negative 4. So 4 cannot go into 10 exactly. We're going to reduce it by 2. So divide this by 2 because 2 is your greatest common factor. Divide that by 2. And we know that negative over negative makes positive. So we're going to have 5 all over 2. Okay, so these are the two answers. And then we're going to go ahead and put those two numbers in a solution set. So x is negative 3 or 5 over 2. All right, and that's how you solve quadratic equations by using the quadratic formula. Okay, let's go ahead and take a look at step 1. Okay, step 1 is to write the equation in standard form. So it's got to look like this: ax squared plus bx plus c equals to 0. So we got to get everything on one side of the equal sign. Okay, so it's a lot easier if we just go ahead and get rid of the 5 and the minus 2x instead of getting rid of all of these, okay? So here, how do we get rid of the 5? Okay, so 7x squared minus 10x plus 9. So now we're going to minus 5, so that means we have negative 5 on this side, right? So minus 5. And then we're going to add 2x, okay, to get rid of the negative 2x. So that means we have positive 2x, right, on the left-hand side. So basically, we're adding 5 to both sides. So basically, we take away 5, and that's how we got the minus 5. And then we add 2x to the right side of the equal sign, and then we add 2x to the left side of the equal sign, and that's how we came up with the 2x. Okay, so now we're going to go ahead and collect like terms. There is no other x squared term, so 7x squared. And then here you have, okay, here you have negative 10x and positive 2x, right? So negative 10 plus 2 is going to give you negative 8x. So you have these two constant. 9 take away 5 is going to give you 4. And then 0 on the right side of the equal sign. Okay, so this is what standard form looks like. 7x squared, ax squared plus bx plus c. Okay, so that's the first thing you have to do, is get it into standard form. Next step is to identify a, b, and c. And then you are going to substitute those numbers into the quadratic formula. And you're given a quadratic formula here. Step 2 is to identify A, B, and C, and then substitute them into the quadratic formula. Okay, so standard form is ax squared plus bx plus c equals to 0. So the a is the coefficients of x squared, so a is 7, and then b is the coefficient for x, so b is negative 8, and then c is your constant, so c is 4. So those are your a, b, and c, and we're going to substitute those numbers into the formula. So your formula is x equals to, well, the first number is opposite of b, so opposite of negative 8. What's opposite of negative 8? Well, that's positive 8 plus a minus square root, and then 8 squared, so we have 8 squared, b squared, so this is b squared. Take away 4 times a is 7, and then times c is 4. Alright, so this is negative 4 times ac, and that whole thing all over 2 times a, and a is 7 for this one. Alright, so that's how you complete step 2. Let's move on to step 3. Okay, so step 3 is to simplify the expression that's on the right hand side. So we got to simplify this whole thing. So x is 8 plus or minus 8 squared is 64. 8 times 8 is 64. Take away negative 4 times 7 is negative 28. And then we're going to times that by 4. This is 2, 32, and then 4 times 2 is 8. Okay, 8 plus 3 is 11, so negative 112. Okay, so this is going to give you negative 112. And that whole thing is going to be over 2 times 7 is 14. Okay, so there is 2 times 7 is 14. So continue to simplify. X is 8 plus or minus square root of 64 take away 112. Okay, and then here you have 64 take away 112 is going to give you negative 48. And then that whole thing is going to be over 14. Okay, so we're going to continue to simplify. X is 8 plus or minus. Now we got to break this down. Okay, we got to simplify this by breaking this up into where one is a perfect square. And you want to use the biggest perfect square that can go into 48. Well, you can break this up into square root of 16 and then square root of 3. Okay, this is an imaginary number. So this negative is going to come out as an I because square root of negative 1 is I. You can break it up into square root of negative 16 times square root of 3. And then square root of negative 16 is 4i. And then square root of 3 stays the same. So here you're going to have I times 4 times square root of 3. And that whole thing all over 14. Okay, so we're going to continue down here. All right, so I'm going to take this and we're going to write it down here. So x is 8 plus or minus 4i, because I times 4 is 4i, and then square root of 3 all over 14. And then I think there's one more thing we need to do is to reduce it. looks like 2 can go into all of these numbers. 2 can go into 8, 2 can go into 4, and then 2 can also go into 14. So 2 goes into 8 4 times, plus or minus 2i. 2 goes into 4 2 times, so that makes it 2. That makes it 2i times square root of 3, and then all over 7. Because 2 goes into 14 7 times. All right, so this is what x is. So that's how you solve quadratic equations by using the quadratic formula. Okay, let's take a look at another problem. This one here is an application problem. So here we have a diagram. So this here is your shaded region. Okay, so that's what we're looking for. So if the area, well, that's given to us. If the areas of the shaded region is 103 square feet, what are the dimensions of the inside rectangle? So we're looking for the dimensions of the inside rectangle. Here's your inside rectangle. Well, in order to find out the dimension, you need to know what x is so that we can plug it in here where x is right here. All right, and then plug it in here. So we have to set this up, okay, based on what's given to us. Well, here we have rectangles to work with, right? So how do we find areas of a rectangle? Well, to find areas of a rectangle, you take length times width. To find the areas of the shaded region, you would take the area of the outside rectangle minus the area of the inside rectangle. So the areas of the outside rectangle, how do we get the areas of the outside rectangle? Well, that is to take 3x, this right here, we go length times width. So this is your length, and then this is your width. So length times width is 3x minus 2 times x plus 6. So this here would give us the areas of the outside rectangle minus the areas of the inside rectangle. Length times width is basically you want to take 2x times x minus 1. So 2x times x minus 1. Okay, so that is going to equal to the areas of the shaded region, which is 103. So here's your equations to work with. So based on, let's go through this again. So we're given the areas of the shaded region. So to find the areas of the shaded region, you would take the areas of the outside rectangle, and then you take away the areas of the inside rectangle from it. So the areas of the outside rectangle minus the areas of the inside rectangle. And that comes out to the shaded area, the areas of the shaded region. Okay, so we need to simplify what's on the left side of the equal sign. So we got to multiply two binomials. Okay, so here we're going to need to take 3x. Okay, we need to distribute the 3x. So here distribute the 3x. Okay, so 3x times x. So here we have 3x squared. And then 3x times 6 is 18x. Okay, and then we have to distribute the negative 2. So distribute the negative 2. What do we get when we distribute the negative 2? We'll get negative 2x. And then minus 12. So that's how you get rid of that parenthesis. Now here you got to distribute the negative, so that makes it a negative 2x, right? And then you have to distribute that to the x, and then the negative 1. So now we have negative 2x. We're going to distribute that. So negative 2 times x is negative 2x squared. And then negative 2x times negative 1 is positive 2x. And all that is going to equals to 103. Okay, so now we're going to go ahead and combine like terms. Okay, so here we have 3x squared with negative 2x squared. So that is going to give us x squared. And then we have 18x, negative 2x, and then positive 2x. Well, negative 2x and positive 2x are gone. So you're left with just the 18x. And then your constant here is negative 12. And that whole thing equals to 103. Looking at this equation, we have a quadratic equation. And we know a few ways of how to solve this. But according to this lesson, we are going to solve it by using the quadratic formula. So let's take a look at what step 1 is. Well, step 1 right here is to write the equation in standard form. So you have to get the equation in terms of ax squared plus bx plus c equals to 0. So looking at this, it does not equal to 0. So we have to move we have to get rid of the 103. So we're going to minus 103 to get rid of it. And then we're going to minus 103 here. Okay, so we have x squared plus 18x, and then here we're going to have minus 115, and that is going to equal to 0. All right, so that's the first thing we have to do, is make it equals to 0. Okay, step 1, let's go back and look at step 2. Well, step 2 is to identify the a, b, and c, and then substitute them into the formula. So we're going to go ahead and identify a, b, c, and we're going to plug in those numbers into the formula. So what is your a? Well, a is the coefficients of x squared, so a is 1. Okay, so a is going to be 1. What's your b? Well, b is 18, and your constant is going to be negative 115. Okay, so you have your a, b, c, and now we're going to plug those numbers in to the quadratic formula. So the quadratic formula is opposite of b, so opposite of 18 is negative 18, plus or minus, and then we have 18 squared. Take away 4 times a, and then times c. C is negative 115. And that whole thing is going to be all over 2 times a. So 2 times 1 is 2. Okay, so that's step 2. We plug everything in for a, b, c. Step 3 is to simplify. So we need to simplify what's on the right-hand side of the equal sign. So we're going to simplify this right here. So let's look at it. So x is, you got negative 18 plus or minus 18 squared. 18 times 18 is 324. And then here you have negative 4 times 1 is negative 4. And then negative 4 times negative 115 is 460. So all this, when you multiply all those numbers, you are going to get 460. And that whole thing all over 2. Okay, so continue here. We have x is negative 18 plus or minus square root of. So 324 plus 460 is going to give you 784. And that whole thing all over 2. Okay, let's keep on going. So here we have negative 18 plus a minus. We gotta know what square root of 784 is. So square root of 784 is going to come out to 28, because 28 times 28 is 784. And that all over 2. Okay, so we're going to break this up into 2 numbers because of the plus minus here. Because you got negative 18 plus 28. You also have negative 18 minus 28. So here, negative 18 plus 28 all over 2. Okay, so you're left with, here you got 10 over 2. And that is going to give you 5. So one of the x is 5. And then the other x is negative 18 minus 28 all over 2. And that's going to give you negative 46 over 2. 2 goes into 46 23 times, so this comes out to negative 23. So we're looking for the dimensions of the inside rectangle. And I said that in order to find the dimensions of the inside rectangle, we need to know what x is, right? So we can plug it back in here. See where the x, see where this x is. If you have x, you can plug it in there. And then you take 2 times x to get the length. And then you plug the x in here. X take away 1 to get the width. So we have to know what x is in order to get that dimension. The 2 solutions we have, we found x to be 5. Okay, so we found x to be 5. And then or x is negative 23. Okay, now since we're talking about how long it is, here if you try to plug negative 23 into x, okay, you're going to get a negative number. Since you're talking about how long the side is, that's going to be no good because you're talking about the length of the side, right? Cannot be a negative number. So this number would not work for this situation. So this number right here, negative 23, would not work for a situation like this. So you're left with just x equals to 5. Okay, so we plug 5 in there. This becomes 10, right? Because 2 times 5 is 10. And then if we plug 5 in here, 5 take away 1 is 4. Well, the length is 2x, right? So 2 times 5, so 2 times 5 give you 10. So length is 10. So it's going to be 10 feet. That's how long it is. And then the width is x minus 1. Right, so when you plug x in here, 5 minus 1 is 4. So 5 take away 1 is 4. So your width is 4 feet. It's a 10 by 4 feet rectangle. This is a quadratic application problem that we went on and solved this using the quadratic formula. I hope you're able to understand how these problems are done, and I hope it's helpful to you. And if you like it, please help share and subscribe. And I thank you for watching, and then I'll see you next time.